Hi everyone, this is Andre, and you are currently listening to WFM podcast that aims to be the voice for all things workforce management related. In this episode, we'll speak with Nikki Calhoun, Senior Director of Operations at a B2B organization. In this conversation, we'll cover customer experience, how our generation is currently looking at service, and how data can enable decision making. Stay tuned.
I'm drinking
Let's go.
coffee.
You're drinking
Let's
coffee?
go.
Long American coffee, not our
Yes.
espresso coffee.
Starbucks. Yeah, no.
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Okay, guys, so it's time to welcome our special guest, Nikki Calhoun. Nikki, I will try to describe you with my personal research. My
Oh god, I'm
definition
scared.
is don't be scared. Passionate person for technology and fashion. Check. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
I think you are such an enthusiastic person that very commonly you are the energy in the room. So you are the energizer. Uh, People might not be seeing. Love that smile. It's an infectious smile. And finally, a very important part, more personal. You are a mother of a lovely girl, Leona, that I'm quite sure that will be the heart of the house and someone that you can take lessons as well from her sometimes, time
Yes,
to
I already am taking lessons from her.
time. So we are going to get a few topics covered today in today's episode. So we'll speak about your personal career, so get the audience to know it quite well. We'll speak about customer experience. We'll speak about employee experience, which is many times not even spoken, and we'll close with WFM. But first, we need to know you a bit better. So first of all, how are you doing today?
Fantastic. It's 9 a.m. Over here. So I'm just waking up, getting settled. It's time to work.
Amazing. So let's start with some power questions if you are comfortable with that. So short answers. And you said 9 a.m. People don't know where you are. So first of all, where are you set? Where are you based in? Where do you live?
I'm in not so sunny Los Angeles today. It's quite cold and overcast, but normally it's we have the sun on our side.
So tell us one thing you love about LA. So sunny Los Angeles, one thing you love.
I mean, I feel like I just said it. It's the weather, Andre. I mean, this is what people come for. The sun, the beach, lots of great food options. You're familiar. That's why I'm here. That's why I'll remain here.
Sunny California. And how long have you been
Yes.
in your current job?
At this job, not very long. I'm a new, what we're calling an implant, because there's a lot of people that have been here for a very, very long time. But I've been here for, I'm going on, I'm in my fourth month. In my fourth month, I'm about 3.5 months in.
Okay. And more on the funny side. So if you could have a superpower, what would that be?
Um, you know, I've asked this question more than you would think, specifically by my 9-year-old. And I feel like I change my answer every time because I'd prefer to have like 3 to 5, of course. But today I'm going to say, I want to be able to fly. Today it's flight. Yeah.
Today it's flying day. Amazing.
Mainly because flights are very expensive right now. So if I could just, if I could just fly myself somewhere, that'd be fantastic.
You're saving money, but then you need to
Just to
fly with
save
your
money.
daughter.
Right. Yes.
Not that fun. Not that fun. Okay, so let's move to kind of I still funny conversations, but I think the audience needs to know a bit more about you. So tell us a bit about your journey. So you have been in the job for quite some time in the market, like different experiences, managing teams, leading service. Can you share a bit with us, like what's your journey so far?
Yeah. No. So I'll back up a little bit. I've been in LA, Los Angeles, for a little over 10 years, and I came here to, kind of get my foot in the door within the fashion industry. I wanted to do something with my undergraduate degree, which is in marketing. And I really wanted to work in the fashion industry within marketing. So I started out at a company called Holtlook 10 plus years ago. And I was in school at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise here. And I mean, it was a seasonal customer service representative sort of position. And I came in, I got hired on full time at the end of that seasonal position, and it was just kind of one of those right place, right time sort of scenarios. And that was the beginning. And I've kind of floated across a couple of different sort of operational teams, always kind of supporting customer service. And I don't know, like, I mean, I've dabbled in the marketing side as well. Marketing has always kind of been a team that I've supported from different sort of, functions across different companies. But really, everything that I've done is about improving operational efficiencies for different departments. Data intelligence has always been kind of a huge sort of backbone to my success in all of these departments. And now I've like gone full circle, and I'm back supporting a customer support department at a sort of B2B organization. But it's all very relevant. I think all of my experience is like really kind of allowing me to be pretty effective, not just for this team, but like kind of the overarching, vertical that I'm supporting for the company. So that's me in a nutshell.
And throughout that journey, so you had the mixed bag of things as you were evolving. Like you said, you just closed the loop. Is there anyone you cross paths with that has been such an influential person to you, and who you are today?
I mean, there's been quite a few, and Andre, you're actually one of them. Like I have a very strong respect for. I mean, I do very well with like technical and analytical people, right? And you were somebody that kind of stood out to me, and I kind of look to you as a mentor in a lot of ways. But I mean, in for me, those are the strongest sort of relationships that I've had over the course of my career with those people that I feel like I can learn something from. I mean, yeah, I'd put you in the top three. There's been three that I could, name. One of them was my manager at Holtlook when I started there. Like I came in and I was just like, oh, customer service. Like this was just kind of a means to an ends for me. It's an entry level role. You come in and with the idea that you already want to get out on day one. So that was my mindset. So I came in with an attitude, very negative one, and I was ready to go. And my manager, she knew. She was like, Nikki, you're smart, you're great, you do all the great things, but like you need to kind of take a step back and like think big picture with like what we're trying to achieve as a department. And you also need to realize that you don't know everything, so you have to calm down. Because I would get very frustrated, and I don't know. She was a very good sort of manager. She was able to level set me and kind of put a lot of things into perspective for me, just with respect to how to manage and lead. I think I don't know. I've had a lot of other great people that have kind of like mentored me over the course of my career, but somebody else that I thought was really really great. I worked at a startup. The CEO, working for him was absolutely insane, and it was interesting because when you're in a certain position at a company, you have to be a visionary, right? And he didn't have. So basically, what I walked into, I walked into this company. It's a startup, mind you. A lot of it, very young, sort of like inexperienced people, kids fresh out of college, and for me, it's like a different generation of workers too. So like it was interesting, but there was such a strong disconnect, obviously, between the CEO and these people, and he kind of wanted me to come in and manage. And the way that I explained it to both of them is that I am in this position where I'm not just coaching down, but I am going to coach up as well, because I was trying to teach the CEO how to articulate his points in a way that was digestible to the rest of his business, so that we could be effective on his behalf. So that was a very interesting sort of part of my journey for me. And I don't think the CE knows how helpful being in that sort of like setting was for me. And it's funny because, after I left that company, and this was a couple of years ago now at this point, I've done like a decent amount of contract work for him because I set up all of the sort of foundational things for this organization, right? And, he still calls me back every once in a while to like support in a couple of different areas. So, and we're good friends now, but like working for him, it was a very unique challenge of mine. And then there's you. So obviously, Andre, I love you. We've had all kinds of wine and conversations together about all the things. But the way that you move with data and the way that you handled your team was like very, very impressive to me. So but yeah, those are my three people.
Thank you. I don't know how to follow with that, but thank you for the words. So let's move back a while. So if you could travel in time, and if you could tell the younger you in the beginning of your career, what's the one thing you would say to yourself?
Oh man, be a little bit more diplomatic in your approach in certain conversations. Know where to slow down, where to speed up. You got to have a balance. I'm figuring this out now. I don't know. I think those are two pretty good ones.
I like it. I like it. So let's
Yeah.
let's move away from your personal style, and I want to know more about the way you see the industry, the way you think
Sure.
about how service is evolving and the room for new technologies, etc. And I want to start with, so you mentioned about data. I know you're an analytical person, so let's use kind of an NPS scale here for a second. So many times we say to put the customer at the center of everything we do, the customer matters, but the reality is that across so many different industries, we don't see it or we don't feel it. So as someone that led already multiple teams in service, if you could rate 1 to 10, how well does the industry in general or like the market treats customers? What would be your score?
I mean, I feel like the mindset is shifting in the right direction. So I'd probably give it like maybe a 6 or a 7, which I think is
Neutral.
fair. Yeah.
Okay. So what is missing for that 6 or 7 to become a promoter? So what do you think that in general, and let's broaden the spectrum, what do you think that we should do more to actually
So there's
change?
this so I mean, I feel like, like really good, innovative, industry disrupting companies um, have this good, solid sort of like foundation of like just customer centricity. I feel like trying to make that make sense for individual departments doesn't necessarily translate from one company to the next. We're going through this exercise now, and it's very heavy with my role. And again, I've only been here for 3.5 months. But I think, trying to cascade that or change that mindset across an organization is a little bit tricky to start. But with respect to service, just customer service specifically, I think it's this department's sort of focus to kind of lead that charge to change that shift. I mean, you're familiar with this, like the old sort of traditional way of thinking when it comes to services. It's very reactive. This is a cost center. And it's a very old school way of thinking. Smart companies evolve this type of department from sort of like reactive to proactive to preemptive, and that involves the entire organization. And it's on individual sort of department heads to sort of bring this level of customer centricity sort of, and trickle this down to their people so that it translates into these individual tasks that they have to do. Like, the majority of the departments within an organization are indirectly impacting the customer experience. So I think that's a challenge for, I feel like, a lot of organizations. And I feel like it's on people like me to kind of articulate how, this, whatever technical fix is going to positively impact the customer experience in this way, or, the lack of this data, this, data set is like not allowing us to see what's happening with this sort of like, customer behavior, blah, 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 blah. Like, I think there needs to be more people in those types of positions within organizations to be able to like drive these types of things forward. There are companies out there that are kind of, they have the right mindset to be able to kind of do that. I just feel like it's still very few and far between. So yeah, six, seven,
6, 7, and
because I feel like a lot of companies, they want that, they just don't know how to translate it. Again,
I
they
was
say
going to
that, they
touch
just
on
don't know
that.
what it means.
I would say
Yeah,
many companies, what they normally do is like they treat, oh, we want to keep our customers here, we want to engage with them, so they, all the loyalty programs are detached from service. It's all about experience, that and that and that, but the experience goes as planned. Someone needs to fix it, and
right.
that's part of where the service kicks in. It's like service is not only from point A to B, but it's like if something happens, we are here to back you up, and you will still get an amazing experience. So I totally follow that. And to explore this a bit more, so the industry, as like you said, it's growing. The mindset is changing. Do you think there is anything that when looking at the market, we learned, and by we I say our current generation, we learned from the past, um, that will allow us to excel and like push this 6, 7 into like an 8 or a 9 or a 10? Like, is there anything that you feel that is meaningful, like a true learning that will move us into a better direction?
you know, Data and technology will drive any organization forward. I mean, it is, those two things are meant to sort of like help a department like customer service sort of like move about their day a little bit smarter and faster on the customer's behalf. I mean, and this is just kind of the same sort of sentiment across really any department. Organizations have to be able to move at the speed of demand, and so do individual departments. And again, AI, data and technology are there to be able to support that. So as you move away from manual ways of working and implement the necessary systems and toolings with the support of the data, this is how you move forward. That allows you the opportunity to provide like better, faster, stronger, more personalized experiences, et cetera, on behalf of the customer. And that's across every single industry. That's my opinion.
And I agree with you. And let's explore this from another angle. So employee experience, which is many times left out of the conversation because we are working for the customer, but the truth is the employees across like so many different industries, like they are many times in the position with like dozens of systems not integrated, hundreds of processes that are not consistent, policies, guidelines, things like they are overwhelmed. And you touched on AI and technology, and as someone that really led teams, and I think you were exposed to that, and you are passionate about technology. You mentioned that before. What do you think that will be the role of AI and these new technologies on not only supporting the customer, but as well as supporting the employee experience? Like, let's shift angles. Like, what do you think that will be the role for the employee experience?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it will enhance the employee experience just as much as it will for the customer, right? I mean, none of us none of us as employees like working, doing manual sort of monotonous tasks. Um, I I think anything that will remove literally a click or something from an employee's workload is worth putting effort into. And I feel like this allows them opportunities to, one, it saves time, obviously. It saves time and it allows for opportunities to kind of do more, learn more, in my opinion. And it's just smarter, faster ways of working, with technology, sort of like as the half step, right?
Mhm.
Takes work out of their day, which
Like it's
is,
like 10 seconds at a time, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, that can
yeah,
translate into
which sound
hours, into days, and into reinvesting back into the people and try to like do something
exactly,
different. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
And kind of a follow up on what you said, and I think that's a very important point. When we were talking about technology, AI, and how important is the industry to start seeing that together and combining that together, how well do you think that it's received, the role that AI and different new technologies will have? Like many times we have some pushbacks, oh, this is too disruptive, etc., etc. How do you think that it's perceived today? Like from someone in your position that worked in so many different companies, like how do you think it's perceived?
It's interesting, right? Like, I mean, adoption rates for technology, I feel like are typically low unless they're executed properly. Like, there needs to be like somebody needs to be able to like properly again articulate like the benefits, right? Like the value benefits of each one of these different sort of things. And I feel like the communication is missed because of that. Like, again, this is something that I'm going through right now, right? Like you need to sell the use of technology, different new things to your team of people, and show them the value based added details that are coming with this tool, in order for them to sort of buy in.
So thank you for that. So let's touch now on workforce management. And I know you were exposed to different teams that do that job. You probably tried it, be it here and there on the planning side, but I would love to hear from your own words. If you could just say in a phrase or a sentence, what does workforce management mean to you?
From a staffing perspective, for like a lot of different operational team types, like I think it's a necessity, depending on organization size and like kind of what the needs are. I don't know. I mean, with respect to again, like like a support team that is, expected to manage really, direct customer experience, and we're making front end website customer promises that we're going to do this and be available, et cetera, like from a staffing perspective, like there's a need for it. And I mean, the same thought process across like different sort of like logistics teams, like with respect to how couriers are managed, all these different types. Like, I mean, I've had, if not an entire team dedicated to sort of workforce management, some sort of tool, like I don't think enough people within an organization really know about it, but it's very much one of those operational things. I could see it being valuable to a lot more teams than what it's actually used for, depending on the company setup. But yeah.
And taking your own on the staffing and planning, and I clearly that you see that's a critical part of the job. And I was going to explore that part of like how different industries, you mentioned logistics, like there are very similar roles in like planning and preparing for whatever is coming and making sure that you have the right resources, supporting the business, like someone like you, on being prepared, because knowing, like you said, we promise that we'll be here, and then if you don't have the right plan, you are not able to cope with customer demand.
Right.
Thank you for that. So let's think about career and advice we could provide to someone that wants to pursue a career in workforce management or in operations in general, more on the analytical side. What advice would you give to someone that wants to start?
I mean, look, it would be the same advice that I give to anybody that's coming into a company. Figure out day one how these individual tasks that you're doing, like how they feed into the big picture, and like ask questions around how you're contributing to that. I mean,
It's
any and every
about
employee
purpose,
when you
right?
start it, yeah, it's about purpose. Like, people want to be close to impact, right? Like when you're working for a company, small, large, medium, whatever, doesn't matter at whatever growth stage, like you want to feel like the work that you're putting in is, close to impact, right? You want to see the success. So, I mean, regardless of whether you're coming in at any level, entry level, director, VP, whatever level, like make sure that what you're doing is contributing to, sort of overarching company directives. And I think you'll be good as long as you keep that in mind and you're able to ask that question to yourself, like, how is what I'm doing today impacting positively the company?
Mhm.
How am I driving it forward? And I feel like if you do that as many times as you need to throughout your career, that's exactly what you'll end up doing because you'll have that in mind.
Mhm. Any soft skill that comes to mind when you think about workforce management professionals in general? Any soft skill that you feel like it's a must-have on someone embracing that role?
I would say that you have to be a good storyteller. You need to be able to speak in a way to sort of like unknowing people. Like I feel like, this is a very sort of relevant like sort of function within companies, and I feel like not enough people maybe know about the value that can be added. I feel like when it comes to like workforce management types of things, I see a lot of people try to take this task on themselves, not knowing that there is like an entire industry around, being able to put these pieces in place for you. So be a good storyteller so that value is appropriately articulated to those people.
I love
Yeah.
love that advice. It's actually something that I personally think it's a game changer for people that are starting. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
To close and starting to wrap up, I have one last question, which is we normally as human beings we are very good at celebrate and succeed, but I wanted to explore a bit about mistakes. And is there one mistake that you have done that you learned from it and that you could share advice with our audience on if you are in that position, how to fix it?
Well, I don't make mistakes. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, no. I mean, look, I've made a ton of mistakes over my career. To pinpoint one is pretty funny. I'm trying to pick the right one. Again, like I kind of touched on it early in the interview, knowing when to like, slow down and speed up, right? I've moved too quick at, certain times. I can be impatient when it comes to certain things. You know this. So, if I can't get something done, I'll just do it myself type of thing. But when you do that and you don't consider the impact on, other teams and people, it I don't know, it can be really, really, really bad. And I had a situation where, you know, had a team that was a little bit too the responsibilities were too close to that of another team, and I pulled the trigger on something, and the teams that it was meant to support, they liked it, but it made the other team look really, really, really bad. And I had to do a lot of, I mean, professional apologizing, but also standing my ground in terms of what I put together because it was, very well received. And I should have, it should have been more of a collaborative approach on my side versus, just kind of full blown takeover. So
Mhm.
knowing when to slow down and be more supportive and kind of help other teams, other supporting teams, kind of, carry the torch. I don't know, but yeah, that was probably the biggest and most meaningful mistake that I made.
Thank you for sharing. So, Nikki, we are out of time, but huge thanks for you setting aside some time for us to speak today. Love
Yeah,
having you as a guest in our podcast. Was a pleasure speaking with you today, and thank you so much for your energy and best of
thanks for
luck in the
having me.
future.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to WWFM. This podcast is made and produced by André Leitão, Bilge Hentolun, Doug Carsteton, Gonçalo Gomes, and Kim Paz. If you like this show, don't forget to share it with your friends and colleagues. Visit our website, wwfm.com, to find more exclusive interviews and WFM content. See you next time. All rights reserved.